student, hope all of you are doing well. So in our last video, we have discussed about the concept of Sanskritization, desanskritization, as well as the criticism of Sanskritization. And in today's class, we will discuss the later concept of that particular chapter, that is cultural change. Here we will discuss a little bit about the term of culture and the social reform movements in 19th and early 20th century, and how these movements lead to certain kind of changes in the social practices that discriminated against women and lower caste during that particular period. And along with all these concepts, we will also discuss about the concept of Westernization and the different aspect of Westernization. So let's start our class. We all know that the British colonialism has transformed or changed the structure of our Indian society. We all know both urbanization and industrialization have transformed the lives of the people. For example, the factories have replaced the work of certain kind of people, and at the same time the cities replaces the villages for the people to live in. And regarding the term culture, sociologists have defined the term culture as a socially accepted norms and pattern of behavior. It means that as a social being, our society has recognized certain kind of norms and pattern of our behavior, and we have to follow those norms and pattern in order to live in that society. So hope you got a little bit idea regarding the term culture. Now let's talk about the social reform movements in the 19th and 20th century and how this reform brought certain kind of social changes in Indian society. Basically, the social reform movement has taken place in 19th and 20th century, and this period was the period of Indian freedom struggle. And we can also say that this was the period of combination of Western liberalism with that of the Indian literature. Before the British colonialism, the various kind of social evils such as sati pratha, child marriage, widow remarriage, caste discrimination was prevalent in our society, and attempts were also made to abolish all these systems. If we take the example of Sufi movements, Bhakti movements, and the Buddhists, they tried to eradicate these social evils from Indian society. But the social reform movements of 19th and the early 20th century has a radical impact in the Indian society. This is because the combination of Western liberalism with that of the Indian literature. For example, if we talk some of the Indian intellectuals such as Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Kalita Ramabai, Sir Syed Ahmed Khan, when these intellectuals came into the context of Western education that was brought by British colonialism, they came to know about the concept of liberty, equality, and fraternity, and they also tried to bring those concepts in Indian society. And ultimately, it was their efforts that leads to the abolition of this social system in our society. So we can say that the social reform movements that has a radical impact in Indian society was also the combination of Western liberalism with that of the Indian literature, and this is the British colonialism that also had to change the social practices that was discriminated against the women and lower caste in that particular period. Now let's talk about the social reform movements that have taken place in the 19th and early 20th century. Now, if we talk about some of the Indian intellectuals such as Raja Ram Mohan Roy, we all know that Raja Ram Mohan Roy abolished the sati pratha, and he attacked the sati pratha on the ground of humanitarian. That means that he said that the sati pratha was always against the humanism. He also attacked this process on the ground of natural right. It means that everyone has the right to live irrespective of any gender, and on the ground of Hindu Shastra. No doubt, before the colonial period, the Hindu culture said that the sati sati pratha should be prevalent in Indian society. But when the Raja Ram Mohan Roy studied the Hindu Shastra, he recognized that it has not been introduced or it has not been included in Hindu Shastra that sati pratha should be prevalent in Indian society. Like that, Rana De advocated the process of widow remarriage on the basis of Hindu law and Shastric sanction. So, he stated that our Hindu law and our Shastra has sanctionized the process of widow remarriage. Similarly, Sir Syed Ahmed Khan has interpreted the free inquiry with that of Quranic revelation. So, basically, when we saw the interpretation of this intellectual, we can find that they have a logical reasoning behind their interpretation, and this might be due to the combination of Western liberalism with that of the Indian literature. So, when British colonialism brought about the Western education and this intellectual came into the context of Western education, they came to know about the concept of liberty, equality and fraternity, and they tried to bring the same liberty and equality in Indian society, and ultimately it was their efforts that led to the abolition of all the social evils from Hindu society. Now let's talk about the three aspects of modern framework of changes in colonial India that was provided by Satish Severban. So he was a sociologist and he has provided the three aspects of changes in colonial India and how this aspect has helped the social reform movement. So regarding the three aspects, the first one is that of modes of communication, and we all know that it was the British colonialism that developed various kinds of technologies, and these technologies ultimately speeded up the forms of communication. If we take the example of printing media, or we can say that the printing press, telegraph, and later the microphones or railways have helped in the quick transformation of ideas from one place to another. Or with the help of these modes of communication, the social reformer of Punjab and Bengal, they began to exchange their ideas with the social reformer from Mumbai and Maharashtra. And it is the modes of communication that helped the Christian missionaries to reach the remote area of present-day Meghalaya, Nagaland and Mizoram. Basically, we can say that modes of communication is one of the important aspects that help or that lead to certain kind of changes or that help the social reform movements in the colonial period. Hope you have a clear idea regarding the modes of communication. Now let's talk about the second aspect of the framework of changes in colonial India. That was the forms of organization. So basically, it was during the colonial period that various kind of organization was set up in India. Suppose the Brahma Samaj was set up in Bengal, whereas the Arya Samaj was set up in Punjab. And this kind of social organization or this kind of organization or modes of communication help the social reformer to debate it not in the public meeting, but also they started to debate through the public media like newspaper, television, etc. And ultimately all these modes of communication and forms of organization lead to the translation of writings of social reformer from one Indian language to another Indian language. The third aspect, that is the nature of ideas, is one of the important aspects regarding the framework of changes in colonial India. It was the British colonialism that brought the idea of freedom, idea of liberalism, and also the idea of self-consciousness, pride in the culture and tradition. And during this period, the concept of female education was largely debated. Most of the social reformers have stated that for a nation to develop, it was the women of that particular nation have to be educated. So it was Jyotiba Phule, the social reformer Jyotiba Phule, who first opened the school for women in Pune. Regarding the female education or regarding the concept of female education, most of the social reformers have stated that Before the colonial period, the girls or women were also educated in India. But at the same time, some of the social reformers have criticized that girls' education or that female education was only for certain kind of privileged people. So, in our discussion or regarding this all aspect of forms of changes in colonial period, we can say that both all the modes of communication, forms of organization and nature of ideas ultimately help the social reform movements to bring certain kind of social changes in our Indian society.